The word slipped from the waitress's mouth so quietly that, for a moment, no one at the table reacted. But the billionaire sitting at the center of the luxurious restaurant slowly turned his head. His dark eyes narrowed as he stared at the young woman holding a silver coffee pot beside him. Across the table, 3 powerful German investors had suddenly gone silent. The translator smiled politely and continued speaking in English, pretending nothing had happened. But the waitress knew exactly what he had done. She had understood every German word, and if she stayed silent, the billionaire was about to sign away the company his late father had spent 40 years building. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for what is right, please like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Compassion Chronicles. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? The billionaire's name was Alaric Voss, a man known throughout the business world for making impossible deals happen. At only 42, he owned hotels, shipping companies, and technology firms across several countries. Newspapers called him fearless. His employees called him demanding. But few people knew that beneath his expensive suits and carefully controlled expression was a man still carrying the weight of his father's final words. His father, Henrik Voss, had built the family company from a single repair shop. Before he died, Henrik had placed one hand on Alaric's shoulder and told him that money could be rebuilt, but trust, once broken, was almost impossible to recover. Alaric had never forgotten those words, although years of betrayal had made him suspicious of nearly everyone. That afternoon, Alaric was preparing to finalize the largest deal of his career. A group of German investors wanted to purchase a major share of Voss Maritime, the company his father had founded. The agreement could expand the business across Europe and make Alaric wealthier than ever. His legal team had approved the documents. His advisors had praised the opportunity. And his trusted translator, Marcel Kruger, had spent 6 months arranging every detail. The meeting was being held in an elegant waterfront restaurant, surrounded by glass walls and bright sunlight. Expensive crystal glasses covered the table, and 2 security guards stood quietly near the entrance. Everything looked perfect. Except for the waitress. Her name was Mireya, and she had been working double shifts for nearly 2 years. She was 27, and every dollar she earned helped pay for her younger brother's education. Their mother had passed away when Mireya was 19, leaving her responsible for a small apartment, unpaid bills, and a frightened teenage boy who depended on her. Years earlier, Mireya had dreamed of becoming a language teacher. She had studied German through books borrowed from a public library and later earned a scholarship to a university program. But when her mother became ill, Mireya left school to care for her. After the funeral, returning to college was no longer possible. Still, she never stopped learning. While serving wealthy guests, she listened carefully to different languages. At night, after exhausting shifts, she practiced vocabulary and translated old German stories. No one at the restaurant knew how fluent she had become. To most people, she was simply the quiet waitress who refilled glasses and disappeared. Then she heard the German investors speaking. One of them had leaned toward Marcel and said that the agreement contained a hidden condition. If Voss Maritime failed to meet certain targets within 18 months, control of several family-owned ports would automatically transfer to the investors. Marcel translated the sentence differently. He told Alaric that the investors were offering protection against financial risk. Mireya froze. She thought perhaps she had misunderstood. But then another investor asked Marcel whether Alaric knew about the private clause. Marcel answered in German that Alaric trusted him completely and would sign whatever was placed in front of him. That was when Mireya realized the truth. Marcel was not making a mistake. He was deliberately lying. Her heart began pounding. She looked at Alaric. He was already reaching for the pen. Mireya knew she could lose her job for interrupting. She could be accused of trying to embarrass an important guest. The restaurant manager had warned employees never to interfere in private business meetings. But she remembered her mother's voice. Doing the right thing is often frightening, her mother used to say. That is why courage matters. So Mireya stepped closer and whispered, "Your translator is lying." Alaric stared at her. The restaurant became silent. Marcel immediately laughed and claimed the waitress was confused. He said she probably recognized a few German words and misunderstood the conversation. Alaric's advisors looked uncomfortable. One of them asked Mireya to leave. But Mireya did not move. She repeated the investor's exact words in German. Then she translated them into English, including the hidden clause Marcel had concealed. The German investors exchanged shocked looks. Alaric slowly placed the pen on the table. For the first time, Marcel's confidence disappeared. Alaric asked Mireya to translate the entire conversation from the beginning. Her hands trembled as she spoke, but her voice remained clear. Sentence by sentence, the truth unfolded. The investors admitted that Marcel had privately promised them access to the company's ports. In return, he was supposed to receive millions of dollars after the deal was completed. Alaric felt something colder than anger. He felt betrayed. Marcel had worked beside him for 8 years. He had attended family events, traveled with him, and even stood beside Alaric at Henrik's funeral. Alaric had trusted him like family. But the betrayal did not end there. As Mireya continued translating, she discovered that the investors had also planned to blame Alaric for the failed agreement. If the company lost control of its ports, thousands of workers could lose their jobs. The Voss name would be destroyed. Alaric stood from his chair. He did not shout. He simply looked at Marcel and said that the meeting was over. Security escorted the translator from the restaurant while lawyers began reviewing the documents. The German investors left without a deal. When the room finally emptied, Mireya expected anger. She expected the manager to fire her. Instead, Alaric walked toward her. He asked why she had risked everything for a man she did not know. Mireya looked down at the silver coffee pot in her hands and explained that her mother had taught her never to remain silent when someone was being harmed. Then she admitted that she had once dreamed of becoming a language teacher but had given up university to care for her family. Alaric listened without interrupting. For years, he had believed that loyalty could be purchased through salaries and contracts. Yet the only person who had protected him that day was someone who had nothing to gain. The next morning, Mireya received a message asking her to visit the Voss headquarters. She arrived nervous and wearing her simplest dress. Alaric was waiting. He offered her a position as a language and cultural advisor. He also offered to pay for her to complete her university degree. Mireya refused at first, believing charity would make her feel indebted. But Alaric explained that it was not charity. It is an opportunity, he told her. You earned it by being brave when everyone else stayed quiet. Months passed. Mireya returned to university while working with the company. Her knowledge helped Voss Maritime build honest partnerships with businesses across Europe. Alaric changed too. He began meeting employees without advisors present. He listened to workers and created a scholarship program in his father's name. The company became stronger, not because of one enormous deal, but because trust slowly returned. 1 year later, Mireya stood on a stage at her university graduation. Her younger brother cheered from the audience. Alaric sat beside him, smiling proudly. Before we reach the ending, please leave a special comment. Courage can change a life. Your words may encourage someone who is afraid to speak up today. After the ceremony, Mireya found Alaric standing beneath a tree outside the university. He handed her a small framed photograph of Henrik Voss. On the back were Henrik's final words. Money can be rebuilt, but trust must be protected. Mireya held the photograph close and realized that one brave decision had changed more than her own future. It had saved a company, protected thousands of workers, and reminded a powerful man that true loyalty could come from the most unexpected place. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it, and tell us what lesson stayed with you most. Your engagement helps Compassion Chronicles continue sharing stories of courage, kindness, and second chances. And as the sunlight faded over the city, Alaric looked at Mireya and quietly thanked her, not for saving his fortune, but for reminding him that the most valuable people are not always the ones sitting at the most expensive table. Sometimes, they are the ones standing beside it, holding a coffee pot, carrying their own struggles, and still choosing to tell the truth.